Tavach, Motzei and Kippur, and we're going to continue on Daf Mem Gimel Amud Aleph in Kiddushin. We were just discussing the sugya of Ein Shliach with Varavera. We just discussed the sugya of Ein Shliach with Varavera, and the Gemara said, even though you find Me'ilah had Shlichus with Varavera, but Me'ilah and Shlichus Yad, according to Beis Hillel, or Me'ilah and Tvicha, according to Beis Shammai, are Shnei Ksuvim Abom K'echad, and Shnei Ksuvim Abom K'echad Ein Melam. And the Gemara was in the middle of showing us where you see that there's Shlichus by Tvicha and Mechira. So we're going to start from the fifth line from the top on Daf Mem Gimel Amud Aleph. That's what the pasuk says. So we compare Tvicha to Mechira. Ma Mechira al Yidei Acher. Just like Mechira cannot be done with one person, there has to be somebody else involved. Af Tvicha al Yidei Acher, so too Tvicha has to be, could be if somebody else does it. So from here you know that you can have a shliach do the Tvicha and the Mishalech will be Mechuyev Didal Vei. The Vei Rabbi Shmuel Tana, the Vei Rabbi Shmuel learned another limud. It says Oy Mechorei. The Oy is the Rabbi says a shliach. The Vei Chizkiya Tana Tachas the Rabbi says a shliach. It says you pay 5 tachas a shor and 4 tachas a seh. It did not say tachas twice. It could have said 5 tachas a shor and 4 for the seh. The fact that it said tachas twice is the Rabbi says. So we have 3 different Mekayros that a shliach will be mechayev, haganev, and dalvei. Zok to Gemara. So the whole reason why we don't learn l'chol haTorah kula the yesh shliach l'varavera is because it's shnei ksuvim abom keach. Hanicha l'man da'amr shnei ksuvim abom keachad ein melamdin. That's very good if you hold that shnei ksuvim abom keachad ein melamdin. However, l'man da'amr melamdin. If you learn shnei ksuvim abom keachad melamdin, Michael Meimar. You have the same kasha. Why don't you learn the l'chol haTorah kula that yesh shliach l'dvar avei? Zok to Gemara, because we have another pasuk. Goli rachmana b'shchutei chutz. By shchutei chutz, the pasuk tells us, "Vel Pesach oil made lo yeviyoi lahakrif korban Hashem lefnei mishkan Hashem dom yechoshev lo ish hahu dam shofach." And again it says v'nichras ha'ish hahu mikerav amoy. So we're focusing now on the first hahu. The first hahu, dam yechoshev ish hahu, dam shafach, we touch on hu, v'lo yishluchai. Davka, he isn't going to be mechuyev, but his shliach will not be mechuyev, because ein shliach l'dvar avera. If you make a shliach to shech for you, chutei chutz, you're mechuyev. The person who did the shchita is mechuyev, not the Mishalech, because Ein Shliach L'Dvar Avera. That's what we learn. That's what we learn from Hahu. Zog to Gemara. Atchun Gabe Shchutei Chutz. That just tells us that Shchutei Chutz is that halacha. But Mehechet Teiseh, to apply that to Chol HaTorah Kula. Zog to Gemara. Chol HaTorah Kula Minola the Aleph Mishchutei Chutz. Zog to Gemara. Why do I ask that question? Because adi aleph mishchutei chutz neilaf mehanach. Yes, you have shchutei chutz. That's an example of a case of ein shlich l'dvar avera. But we have 2 examples, or even 3 examples of yen shlich l'dvar avera. So mehechatayzi to learn from shchutei chutz, maybe learn from Me'ilah, from Tvicha, and from shlichus yad. So Gemara hadar kasav rachmana v'nichras ha'ishahu. Once again, the Torah says Hahu. In the Gufa, we don't need Hahu to tell us that the person who did Aver gets chorus. We already know that. From here we learn that L'chol HaTorah Kula ein shliach l'dvar avera. Frek the Gemara, Uleman Domer Shnei Ksuvim Abom Kechad ein melamdin. According to Mandam, we hold that anyway we wouldn't learn it out of Me'ilah because it's Shnei Ksuvim Abom Kechad. So Hani Ahu. My Darshbu, so now those Ahus are extra, because you don't need them to tell you L'chol HaTorah Kula that in Shliach L'Dvar Avera. So tomorrow we have very important limudim to learn out of the hahus. Chad lemutei shnayim sheoichtim besakin b'shoichtim. There's only a chiyuv for shchut echutz if one person shechs by himself. If two people shech together, the Torah says there's no chiyuv for shchut echutz. The chad huvalei honest. What if someone told him, two Eidim came and told him this meat is chulin, this meat is not kosher, and he shechted it b'chutz? That's an honest. Or huvalei shaygig. Even if no Eidim told him, but he was under the impression, for whatever reason, that this basar was basar chulin. Or huvalei muta. Or what if his GPS is off and he thinks that he's in the base of Mikdash and he's really not? So that's why you have a who to tell you that there's no kiyuv kares for shchut echutz. What about the mandamer who needs a who to tell you that kol atar kula and shluchas l'varvera? How is he going to know these halachas for shchut echutz? Mehu hahu. It could have said who instead of said hahu. That's an extra letter from which we can learn the extra limudim. The idach who ahu laydarish, and the mandamer who learns that we learn l'chol atar kula from because shnei shuvah l'gam echad, so he doesn't have the extra limud of hu ahu, and he only has limudim to teach us limutei anos, limutei shogig, and limutei muta. The Tani, we have a brisa. Someone told the shliach, say aroiges hanefesh. He told Reuben told Shimon, go kill somebody. The halacha is hu chayiv v'sholcha poter. Of course, the murderer herself, he's chayiv, but the mishaleach, the person who sent him, is poter. He didn't murder anybody. Shammai Hazaken Omer, a huge chiddush in the name of Mishum Chagai Hanovi from Chagai Hanovi. Shoel chav chayiv by murder. Yesh shliach l'dvar avera. Shenemar oisoi harakto becher b'nei Amon. When the Novi was mourning David HaMelech, the Novi mourned him for killing Uriah Hachiti Becher B'nei Ammon by sending him up to the front. Which means the Novi considers that David killed him, even though David didn't kill him by himself. My time made the Shammai. Where does Shammai know from in the Torah that Yesh Shliach L'Dvar Avera? My time made the Shammai. It must be that Kasavar Shnei Ksuv Mabom Kechad Melamdin. Ima Sol Shnei Ksuv Mabom Kechad Melamdin. So therefore you could learn from Me'ilah, from Shlichus Yad, from Tavach Umachar. You could learn that Yesh Shliach L'Dvar Avera. What about the Limud from Shchut Echutz? But Hu Ahu Loydar. He only learns from Ahu the special halachas by Shchut Echutz, L'mutei Oyin, L'mutei Shogig. But he doesn't have an extra drasha to teach us l'chol ha'torah kula that ain't shlich l'var. So that's the first shot. The Shammai Hazaken holds across the board yesh shlich l'var. But the Boim Sema la'olam darish avade Shammai Hazaken holds everywhere ain't shlich l'var. Even by murder. So what does it mean when Shammai Hazaken says a person who sends someone to murder, the sender is chayiv? It doesn't mean you're chayiv al shlichos and you're mamash a murderer and they can give you misa and bezdin. No, umay chayiv b'dinei shemayim. It just means he's chayiv b'dinei shemayim. Correct the Gemara, the Chachamim argue and hold that the mishalech is not chayiv. So are you going to say that the mishalech is not even chayiv b'dinei shemayim? Mechlal the Tanakom Savar afilu b'dinei shemayim nami poter. That's not mistaber because someone who hires somebody to kill somebody else. A tzaddik is nish. Maybe he's not mechuyev misa, but avad is some type of punishment he can get. Elo the nafkamina is dina rabo b'dina zuta ike b'nai. And Rashi explains dina rabo is what Shammai Hazaken holds. He gets the equivalent of the punishment of a murderer. However, the Chachamim hold ein shlich l'dvar avera, even b'dei shemayim. He gets a din. He was goyim. He caused. He induced a murder. Avad gets punished for that, but he doesn't get punished like he murdered him himself. Even b'dinai shemayim. Beautiful. The boy said, or you can have another pshat. Shiny hasam the gully rachmana. So the first pshat was Shammai Hazaken holds everywhere. Yesh shlich l'dvar. The second teretz was he holds nowhere yesh shlich l'dvar. It's only b'dei shemayim. The third pshat is everywhere else ain't shlich l'dvar. But for murder, capital crime. Yesh shliach l'dvar avera. Why? Because it says oisoi harakto b'cher b'nei Ammon. since the Navi is Megala, that we consider David that he killed Uriah, it teaches us Gilui that in fact by at least Ritzicha yesh shliach levarver. The idach. What about the other Madomer who learns that sending someone to murder somebody, the Mishalech is not chayiv? The Navi says, the Navi blames David for the murder. That's not shut in the pasuk. He's going to learn you're just as responsible for his murder as you are for the murders that Bnei Ammon perpetrate. Just like you're not liable and responsible for any murders that Bnei Ammon do, you're not committing nenash for that you caused Uriah to die. Why not? Because he deserved to die. My time in Moirid b'Malchus, he was a Moirid b'Malchus. How was he Moirid b'Malchus? Because when David wanted to take him home and bring him back from the war, Uriah answered to David HaMelech, Uriah el David, how could I possibly abandon the war effort? Ha'arayin, the Yisrael, the Yehuda, Yoshvim Basukos. Not only that, Vadoni Yoyev, my master Yoyev, is there on the front. Va'avdei Adoni and all of your other servants, the rest of the army, are al Pnei Asada. They're resting up Pnei Asada. Vani Avi al Beisi, Lechoil, Lishtois, Lishlev, and Mishti. How does it look? How could it be? I can't do such a thing. Abandon the war when everyone's there. So the question is, in the Rishonim, what is the Merida b'Malchus? So let's read the Gemara. Rashi learns that the Abel was that in front of David HaMelech, he referred to Yoyev as Adoni. You don't do that. In front of the Melech, everyone is an Eved of the Melech. Tosha doesn't like that shot because he holds that when you're showing covet to one of the lieutenants, one of the officers, one of the advisors of the king, that's showing honor to the king as well. So Tosha says two shot. The first shot is that he refused the order from the king. The king gave him a direct order to come home from the war, and he said, "I don't want to." That was the Merida b'Malchus. The last shot that Tosha says is from the father of Rabbeinu Tam, that the tiny is that first he said Va'adoni Yoyev, and then he said Va'avdei Adoni. You should have first mentioned the king's covet, and only afterwards should he have mentioned the covet of Yoyev. I apologize. The first shot is what Reb Meir, the father of Rabbeinu Tam, said, that he refused the order. It's the second shot in Tosfos that the Taina of Merida b'Malchus is that he first said Adoni Yoyev, and only then he said Adoni HaMelech. Gewaltig. Zogt the Heilige Gemara weiter. Amarov. Im Timtza Loimer Sovar Shammai Shnei Ksub Mabom Kechad Melamdin. V'hu Hulei Dorish. Even if Shammai Azokin holds Yesh Shlich L'Dvar Avera, Moida B'Omer L'Shluch V'Yitzei B'Oilas HaErva V'Achoilas HaChelev Shehu Chai V'Shoch HaPuter. Even though everywhere else in the Torah you would say Yesh Shlich L'Dvar Avera, but not when they're having Hanoah from the Isser. You never find in the Torah where one person is Nehena from the Avera, like the boil of the Achilas Chelev, and somebody else should be part. So even if you hold Yesh Shlich L'Dvar Avera, it doesn't apply to places where there's Hanoah. Zok the Heilige Gemara weiter. So now we finished all the sugyas of Shlichus, how we know Shlichus L'Dvar Mitzvah, and how we know it's Shlichus L'Dvar Avera. Now the Gemara is going to take it a step further. Can a Shliach be an aid? Itma, Rav Amar Shliach not aid, the Ve'er Shila Amri ain't Shliach not aid. What will be the case? Rashi offers up two cases. Imagine Reuben owes Shimon $10,000, and he sends two Shluchim to deliver the $10,000 in cash to Shimon, and they give it to him. Now Shimon claims, I never got paid. You owe me the money. So these two shluchim that deliver the money, they can also be aidim, in fact, that the money was delivered and that the loiva is now potter. That was one case. Another case was if someone makes a shliach to be mekadosh and isha for him, can he also be the aid Kiddushin? So that's where there's a machlokes. The way Rav Shila holds, ain't shliach nasa eid, and the Rav says shliach nasa eid. Zok to Gemara, Kivin Amar Mar, shlucha shalom kamoisai. Since Mar says shlucha shalom kamoisai, oh, I'm sorry, I skipped. Zok to Gemara, my timer, the very Rav Shila. What's as far as Rav Shila that shliach nasa eid, that ain't shliach nasa eid. If the reason why the aid can't be an aid, because I told him to be a shliach, I didn't tell him specifically to be an aid. Frank the Gemara, you don't need to tell someone specifically to be an aid. If someone does a Kiddushin in front of two kosher aidim, but he doesn't tell them that you're my aidim, are you going to say it's not a good Kiddushin? That wouldn't be true. Avad is a good Kiddushin. And you don't have to designate Eidim. So, why should the Be'er Shila hold in Shliach Nasa Eid? Ella Rav Omar Shliach Nasa Eid, because it's even better. Alume Kam Alim Nolamilse. If we did it ourselves, we could be very clear. We're better Eidim. The Be'er Shila Omar in Shliach Nasa Eid, Kivad Omar Shluchay Shalodim Kamoisai. Once we say that the Shliach of a person is like him himself, have a like a gufa. You cannot be an aid for yourself. Once you're a shliach, you're disqualified from being an aid because it's like you're saying aid on yourself. We're going to ask a kasha on Rav who holds shliach nasei. We're going to show you that there's no Tana who agrees to that. Amar l'shloisha, if someone told three people, Su v'kitchu li ha'isha, go be mekadosh a woman for me. So the halacha is echad shliach. One takes the role of a shliach, u'shnai meidim, and the other to take a role of an aid. Clearly, ain't shliach nasa eid. Therefore, one has to be the shliach, and the other two can be the aid. Divrei Bei Shammai, we still kulam shluchanim. Since he asked them all to marry a woman for him, they're all shluchim, and therefore no one's an aid. They'll have to get two other aidim. Then shliach nasa eid. So it seems like everybody holds that ain't shliach nasa eid. Akan lo pligi ela b'shloisha. When there's three people, so Beishamai says there's an answer that two of them should not act as a shliach, they should act as an aid. Abel b'shnayim, if there were only two shluchim to begin with, everybody holds that wouldn't work because both shluchim for sure can't be aidim. So it seems like everybody holds ein shliach nasa aid. So who does Rava hold by? So Gemara Huda Amar Ki Tana. He had a different version of the machlokes Beishamai and Beis Hillel, and in his version, Beishamai agrees that shliach nasa aid. The Tanya of Nasan Omer, Beis Shammai Omer, Shliach ve'eid echad. So you see, Beis Shammai holds the Shliach could be an aid, and all you need to do is add another aid to him. Beis Hillel Omer Shliach l'shnei aid. Correct the Gemara, V'Rav Beis Shammai. You want to still on Rav like Beis Shammai? The Shliach nas aid, but we don't talk like Beis Shammai no more. So switch around Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, and say Beis Hillel says that Shliach ve'eid. He actually flips around the machlokes between Rav and the Reb Shila. And he says, Rav Omer in Shliach Naseid, and the Reb Shila Omer Shliach Naseid. So once again, Rav will be consistent with Beis Hillel that ain't Shliach Naseid. Beautiful. Hilchasa, what's halacha l'maisa? Shliach Naseid, a Shliach could be an aid. Omer Rav Omer Nachman, because of that, because Shliach Naseid, Omer l'shnayim tzu v'kitshu li esa isha, they can be the shluchim and they can be aidim because shliach nasa aid. And not only can the shliach be an aid by Kiddushin, the Gerushin. If I send two people to be megarish my wife, they can be the aidim as well. And let's turn over on to Amid Beis, of Mem Gimel Amid Beis. And by Dina Mominus as well, Shliach can be a name. Why do I need Rav Nachman to tell me all these three things? One thing I know Shliach Nasei one place, I should know it everywhere. Zok to Gemara, the Iash Me'inon B'Kiddushin. If Rav Nachman only told us by Kiddushin that Shliach Nasei, then I would have thought Mishum Dila Mizrak Asi. He's not on the Gebedach or Fakert. By making the Kiddushin, he's hurting himself. Because now this woman is no longer available for him to marry her. And maybe a shliach ain't aid. Maybe he's lying. You know why he's lying? Because he wants to marry this woman. so he wants her to be Megareshes. So maybe you can't trust him. So Rab Nachman have to say there as well, we believe him. Yachmi and Gershon, and if we only know Kiddushin and Gershon, we should the Itzel of a. You know why by Gershon you trust him? Because there's two Adam over here. So what is he thinking? He's going to marry her? Maybe the other guy wants to marry her. So that's why he's in the Manas. But to trust the Shliach Nasa aid by Mamonis, maybe the whole thing is a scam. Maybe they're making a scam. Maybe Reuven never paid back Shimon, and they made a deal. We'll tell testimony that you paid him back, and then we'll split the money 3 ways. We're to aid him, and you'll get some. Dr. Gemara, that's why we needed Rab Nachman to tell us in all 3 cases that Shliach Nasa. Frank Gemara, you said halacha by Mamonis Shliach Nasa. Where would it ever be relevant? Microsoft. What exactly does Rab Nachman mean? Shimon lent money to Reuven. He lent him $10,000, and Edom saw. Now, when Reuven pays Shimon back, there's no star. Does he have to have Edom that he paid back, or is he believed on his word? If the Malva says you never paid me back, and the Loiva says I paid you back, do you believe the Edom? Do you believe the Loiva? So if you hold a Malva Chaver Beidim Turk L'Poyer Beidim, and we don't believe the Loiva, and the Loiva has to deliver the funds, then how could you trust these shluchim who delivered the funds from the Loiva to the Malva? Hani noigim be'edus tenu. They're going to be nagei be'edus. Why are they nagei be'edus? Let's think about it. The Amri Loi Pranei, what if they don't say we paid the Malva? What if they tell the Loiva we didn't pay the Malva? What if they get called to the entire, did you pay the Malva? No, we didn't. So you know what that's going to be? That's going to cause Amr Lu Peruni. So now the Loivas will say, then give me back my money. So once they're shluchim, they're nagei b'dover already, because they have to say testimony that they gave the money to the Malva. Because if not, they'll have to pay back the Loiva. If you all the Malvas Chaver Beidim Ein Tzarich L'Poyer Beidim, then they don't have to say testimony. So therefore, they're not nagei b'dover. But you don't need their edus. But if you need their edus, well then they're nagei b'dover. Because if they're not going to say the testimony that they paid the Malva, then the Loiva is going to demand the money back. Ella, and we're going to go into the Bach, who add a lot to the Gemara to make it much more understandable. So let's go into the Bach on the side. Ella, the Ikasavar Amalvas Chaver Be'edim ain't Tzarich L'Poyer Be'edim. If you don't have to pay back with Edim, then Hani Edim Lovely. What is the whole discussion of Shliach not to aid? There is no Edim required here. The Loiva will just have paid you back. Really, Rab Nachman, who says the Kiddush that Shliach Natzah Eid is referring to the halacha that ain't Tzarich L'Poyer Beidim. So where is their aid required here? Very simple. If the Loiva told the Malva, I paid you myself, Hachanami, no aidim are required. But the Loiva said, I didn't pay you myself, I gave my Shliach to pay you. I didn't see when the Shliach paid you. I'm assuming the Shliach paid you. Now the Loiva needs the edus of the Shliach to confirm that he actually paid. That's why you need their edim over here. Therefore, the edim nami, and now the edim could be believed. Why could the edim be believed? Because migu the yakli lemeimer adrini leloiva, they're not pressured to say they paid the money to the malva, because they can just as easily get away with trouble by saying to the loiva, we give it back to you. So regardless, it won't cost them a penny. So they're completely neutral in this situation. Whether or not they say they gave it to the loiva, or whether or not they say they gave it to the malva, either way, they're scot-free. So therefore, they're completely neutral, and then they can be believed. They'll be never to say that we paid it to the malva. But that was in the olden days. Now we have a new takana that no matter what, whenever someone is tevei somebody else and he denies it, automatically he has to make a shvuah. So now, if the Dadim would say we gave it back to the loiva and we never delivered to the malva, the loiva can demand a shvuas hetzis and force the Dadim to swear that he gave it back to the loiva. Nobody wants to swear. They'd rather lie and say they gave it to the malva, and then they don't have to swear. So that's what they think at least. But the thinking abundant shvuas hetzis, now even if they gave it to the malva, they have to swear that they gave it to the malva, and therefore mishtabi hani edim. They have to swear they gave it to the malva, and that's just so that they shouldn't have to pay back the loiva. But avada, their edus is no longer any good. So therefore, the malva can still go and collect from the loiva. Umishtaba malva the loishakale. The malva will swear he never got it because the loiva can't swear that the malva got it. The loiva doesn't know, so the malva can swear that he didn't get it, and now will parlay loiva the malva. The loiva will have to pay off the malva. Tosfos asked the question: once these Eidim have to swear regardless, whether or not they say they gave it to the malva, or whether or not they say they gave it back to the loiva, they both have to swear. So now they're neutral again. So why isn't their Eidus a good Eidus? It says, Al pi shnayim Eidim yokum davar. It's mashma hanamonim bedibur bolvad. You only believe Eidim if their dibur alone is believed. Aval Eidim ataunin lishava kodim shi'amnu divrayim. Eidim will have to swear before we can accept their words as being objective, not negeya. Ein mamish beidusa. That's not called Gevalti. Now let's see the next thing of the Gemara. Ha'ish mekadosh es bitoi. We know from the Mishnah that the man, the father, has rights over his daughter's Kiddushin when she's a Tana and when she's a Naira. So we have a machlokes about. And the husband, Naira Hamurasa, he will be a Makabal Neskita. Yes, her father could be Makabal or get, but she also has a Yad, she's a Gedolah at this point, she's a Naira, she can be Makabal her own get. So two people, there's two cooks in the kitchen, two people can be Makabal to get. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, no such thing, you cannot have two cooks in the kitchen. You can't have two people that are going to be responsible for accepting her get. Elo avira makabel eskito. The schus is the father's to receive her get, and not hers. She cannot be makabel get. So we have a machlokes tanoim between Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim. If by gerushin can she also be makabel her own get? The Chachamim holds yes, and Rabbi Yehuda holds no. Now the Braita makes another comment. A girl is too young, or she's not of sound mind, and she doesn't know what gerusha means, so she'll go back to her husband, show the chap she's divorced. Such a woman cannot be divorced. Rashi says, she should not be divorced, and even if the father is going to watch her to take her home, it doesn't matter. Tosfos says it all depends on the scenario. In fact, if the father could watch her, maybe it would be a good get. And Tosfos quotes a Gemara that discusses this. But let's get back to our Shaila. Machlokes the Rabbanan who hold that she can accept her own get, a naira, hamurasa, as well as her father. Or Rabbi Yehuda says no, it's exclusive to the father. So comes along Rabbi Rish Lakish and says, "Machlokes l'gerushin, kach machlokes l'kedushin." Just like the Rabbanan hold two people could be makabel to get, her and her father, and we're not concerned about two cooks in the kitchen. By Kiddushin as well, we're not concerned about two cooks in the kitchen, and she could be makabel her own Kiddushin. No, the only place where the Rabbanan say that she can also be makabel or get is only for gerushin. But the Kiddushin, even the Rabbanan are moed to Rabbi Yehuda that only your father could be makabel Kiddushin for her and not herself. My time with Rabbi Yochanan, I'll leave it to Rabbanan. Why would Rabbi Yochanan tell us that the Rabbanan hold that by Kiddushin, the Rabbanan are moed that only the father could be makabel? What's the difference between gerushin and Kiddushin? So Rabbi Yosy bar Chanina suggested an explanation. Gerushin the machneses atzma l'shus aviyah. Gerushin, where she's going into her father's rishus, the father wants her, so he's more nicha to let somebody else be makabel as well. If she's makabel, he'll be out because he wants her back. Therefore, bein hiu vein aviyah. But Kiddushin the mafkaz atzma l'shus aviyah. Kiddushin is when she's leaving her father's rishus. He's losing schlusim in her. They're only aviyah v'loy. That was the svara that Rabbi Yosy bar Chanina said. Frank the Gemara, we have a raya against that svara. I'm going to show you an example of a Kiddushin where she's leaving his rishus, where the halacha is, according to the Rabbanon, that she can be makabel Kiddushin for herself. And where do we find this? By Maimer. By Maimer is a Kiddushin that's made, it's a Kiddushin to Rabbanon that's made on the Yavama. The mafkas asam rishus aviyah. When she's getting Maimer, she's going into the rishus of the Yovain, so she's leaving her father's rishus. Utnan, and we learned, let's turn on to Mem Dalet Amud Aleph. Utnan, and we learned Kitana min Erisin, a Kitana from Erisin, which is not what we're focusing on. But the Hanaira, which is what we're discussing, Bein Midas Atzma, Bein Midas Aviyah. So you see, this is a Kiddushin. She's leaving her father's Rishus. Surely it's not Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda holds only the father as a Yad. But according to the Rabbanon, this must be the Rabbanon. And it says by Kiddushin, Bein Midas Atzma, Bein Midas Aviyah. So it's a kasha on the way Rabbi Yosy bar Chanina explained Rabbi Yochanan that by Kiddushin things are different. We're going to have to change the shot that Rabbi Yosy bar Chanina offered to explain Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yosy bar Chanina, my time Rabbi Yochanan leave with the Rabbanon. What is the svara in Rabbi Yochanan? Why the Rabbanon would agree that by Kiddushin only the father is Makabel and not her? Because Kiddushin the Midaita, Kiddushin cannot be done by Korcha. Either she has to agree or her father has to agree. Therefore, Aviyah v'layi, because we say that the father has the koyach of the Kiddushin. So since it requires her das, that now belongs to her father. But Gerushin the Balkarcha, a woman to get a get, nobody asks the woman if she wants to get. The husband can give it to her against her will. And the husband can give it to her against the will of her father if her father's a Baldover. So since there's no need to have any das on the Mekabel side of the get, therefore, Beini Bein Aviyah. That's why the Rabbanon are going to be Yehuda and hold that she could be Mekabel or get. Because you don't need her das, you don't need his das. But if that's the case, Zok to Gemara, we have the same cash as we had before. Harei Maimer, Demidaita. Maimer also she has a right to accept or refuse. B'katani Beini Bein Aviyah. So I was what's the difference between Kiddushin and Maimer? Zok to Gemara, I'll tell you. Hasam b'Maimer de Balkarth. That Tana holds that Maimer can be done by the Yavim against the will of the Yavama. The Rebbe, who holds that Maimer can be done Balkarcha of the Isha, Rebbe. The Tanya we have a brisa. Ha'itza Maimer b'Yavim shaloi midaita, Rebbe Omer Kana. Rebbe holds you can be calling the Maimer Balkarcha. So then Maimer is comparable to Gerushin. Since it's Balkarcha, he Oyaviyah. But Kiddushin, which you need her das, there dafka the das are up. My time with the Rebbe, what's the svara? Rebbe, who holds the word Balkar, right? Gomer Mabiyah Yavama. He learns from a different type of achnota how a Yavama is taken in by the Yavim. Mabiyah Yavama Balkarcha, Hachanami Balkarcha. Rabbanan Chaviyah Fidim Kiddushin. No, you learn that out of Kiddushin. Because Maimer is like a type of Kiddushin. Ma Kiddushin the Midaita of Hachanami the Midaita. Why would they decide either to learn from Kiddushin or to learn from Yavama? When you look at the person, this person's halacha, you learn from the other halachas of this person. This person by Yibam is Balkarcha, so the Maimer is Balkarcha. Rabbanan says you look at the Maisa. You're learning the Maisa. The Maisa Kiddushin of Maimer, it's most logical to learn from the regular Maisa Kiddushin, and therefore it doesn't work. Now the Gemara just feared ois that the brisa that we just quoted will fit in according to Rabbi Yochanan, where he says that Maimer by Anaira Beini Bein Aviyah, and we explained why, because Maimer is Balkar. Zok to Gemara, that's not just a teretz. If you analyze the Mishnah, you'll see the Mishnah B'dafka holds like this. Does you know what the Mishnah says? Hachanami mistavra Zok to Gemara. It's mistavra to say that this is shot in the brisa that the Maimer is Balkarcha. Maimer is different than Kiddushin. And Maimer, she could be Mekabel the Maimer, but not by Kiddushin. Because we know Rish Lakish holds that by Kiddushin also Rish Lakish holds that the Rabbanon hold that she can't be Mekabel. I'm sorry, Rish Lakish holds Kiddushin, and therefore the Rabbanon will hold she could be Mekabel Kiddushin. It's only Rabbi Yochanan who holds in the Rabbanon that you can't be Mekabel Kiddushin. So let's look at the Heilige Gemara. Hachanami mistaber kedematarish Rabbi Yochanan. It's mistaber to say that Pshat in this brisa is that the only reason why she could be Mekabel the Maimer is because Balkarcha. But Kiddushin she wouldn't be able to be Mekabel because we don't hold like Rish Lakish. What's the raya? Vidikatani Seifa, this very brisa continues and says Masha Enkim Kiddushin. So the brisa is basically saying black and white that by Kiddushin you would not be able to, she would not be able to be Mekabel Kiddushin. So that's a right Rabbi Yochanan that by Kiddushin, the Rabbanan are moided to Rabbi Yehuda that she can't be Mekabel Kiddushin. Because according to Rish Lakish, she could be Mekabel Kiddushin. So, frankly, Gemara, now that the bride says Mashenkin be Kiddushin, well, now it's a steer to Kashan Rish Lakish. It will name it how to Yukid Rish Lakish. Because the bride says Mashenkin be Kiddushin. And according to Rish Lakish, the Rabbanan hold that a woman could be Mekabel her own Kiddushin, even an Ira. Amalach Rish Lakish, not a Kash at all. Hamani Rabbi Yehuda. Who said this bride is going according to the Rabbanan? Maybe this bride is going according to Rabbi Yehuda. And the reason why, Mashenkin be Kiddushin, the reason why she cannot be Mekabel her own Kiddushin, the Amar ain't stay a dime, Zoikas Kachas. Correct the Gemara, Iker Rabbi Yehuda, if we're going according to Rabbi Yehuda, the bride should have said a bigger Kiddush. What's happened to the Mashenkin be Kiddushin, where she can't be Mekabel Kiddushin for herself? Mashenkin be Gerushin be Boil. It should have even said even Gerushin she can't be Mekabel for herself, according to Rabbi Yehuda. It could have said that. But we're talking about Maimer. We're talking about Kiddushin the Kazachim. I need the Tan and Maimer, the Dami the Kiddushin, Tan and Nami Mashenkin be Kiddushin. Correct more for Rabbi Yehuda. I don't understand. Rabbi Yehuda holds that she cannot be Mekabel her own Kiddushin. So why could she be Mekabel her own Maimer? She can't even be Mekabel her own get, even though it's Balkarfa. Rabbi Yehuda doesn't make a difference. She cannot be Mekabel anything for herself. So how is it that Maimer is different than she can be Mekabel her own Maimer? Ma'ishna Maimer, and with the Gemara, Hoyel is a Kuka by Medes. When you're starting from scratch on a Kenyan, there she can't do anything. We need her father. But Maimer, there's already a Zika. She's halfway married to the Ovim. The Maimer is only finishing it up. That even Rabbi Yehuda's Moida, she could do as well. So the Gemara, now that you said this new Chiddush, that Hoyel is a Kuka by Medes, Maimer is different, let's rewind back to the beginning of the Sugya. We knocked off and dismissed the first shot in Rabbi Yosy Bechanina, that the reason why the Rabbanan say that you could not be Mekabel her own Kiddushin is because she's leaving her father's Rishos. And the Gemara Takacha, if leaving your father's Rishos is the reason why she can't be Mekabel her own Kiddushin, how could you be Mekabel Maimer? Now we have a simple svara. You know why she could be Mekabel Maimer? Because she's a Kuka by Medes. So Zok to Gemara, Hashta, the Azad Lahachi, Rabbi Yochanan Tikshilach Meikara. The original pshat that we had in Rabbi Yochanan, that when she's leaving his Rishos, that's when she cannot do it by herself, and we have to catch him a Maimer, could answer the same teretz. Shiny Maimer, Hoyel is a Kuka by Medes. Beautiful. Let's stop here, and Be'ez Hashem will continue tomorrow, our normal time. The first year is 6, the second year at 9. I want to wish everybody a good tavach, a gittin kvittel, and we should have Besuras Toivis, all of our tefillah should have been in Skabo. We should be zoichet to many, many simchas this year, especially the simcha of greeting Mashiach.